Welcome to Empower Her Radio, the space for powerhouse women ready to step into their next level of abundance, purpose, and personal freedom. I'm Dr. Corey Winn, a high performance coach, doctor of physical therapy, philanthropist, and business consultant. I help ambitious women align with their highest calling, expand their wealth and impact, and create a life that feels as good as it looks. If you're a high achieving woman who's built success yet finds yourself craving more alignment, more purpose, more ease, you're in the right place. Here, we bridge the gap between ambition and fulfillment. Through transformative conversations and proven strategies, you'll gain the courage to step into the fullest expression of you. Build a powerhouse business that aligns with your expertise and divine gifts, and lead your life, both personally and professionally, with unshakable confidence, worthiness, and compassion. This is about expansion, legacy, and owning your power unapologetically. You already have everything inside of you to create a life of unlimited possibility. It's time to unlock it. Welcome to your next level. Let's dive in. This episode of Empower Her Radio with Dr. Corey Winn is brought to you by Her Quantum Rise, the private coaching experience for the woman who refuses to play small. Her Quantum Rise is where high-achieving women come to elevate their leadership, align with their deepest purpose, and unlock overflow in every area of life. This is where you shed the old paradigm, step into your highest identity, and rise with clarity, certainty, and unstoppable momentum. If you are ready to move from doing it all to leading from grounded power, if you feel the pull toward a bigger life, a bigger mission, and a bigger capacity to receive, then I would love to explore what this next level looks like for you. Book a complimentary call at www.corywin.com/free call and step into the room where your expansion becomes inevitable. Your rise starts here. Today's guest is a woman who embodies what reinvention looks like when you stop settling and start becoming. Joy Rowland is the founder of Next Level Women, host of Next Level Women podcast, and a mentor who helps high-capacity women rise through connection, collaboration, and consistency. She's proof that courage, community, and clarity, your next chapter can be more powerful than what you've lived so far. Joy, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Dr. Curry. It's absolutely a joy to be here today.
So take us back to the beginning, before the brand, before the podcast. Who were you?
Oh my gosh, that's a very strong question because if you had asked me a few years ago, I don't think I would be able to describe who I was because I didn't have an identity. I didn't feel like I had an identity. So, my journey begins in northern Nigeria. I was born in northern Nigeria into abject poverty. And so at a very young age, my desire was just to feed my family, my mom and dad. And so that desire took me to the UK at age 25. And my journey, I feel like that's when my journey truly began because I started to discover who I am and just trying to find my way in the world with no friends in a new country, no family, and just trying to find my way. I think that's where my journey actually began. And so that journey has brought me here today. I'm now in Canada. I have a daughter, 6-year-old daughter, and I feel like all of the hardship I went through in life prepared me for who I am today. And so I am so grateful. I hold no bad feelings, even though I was abused, like many people growing up in Africa, abused by people who were trusted by my parents. And all of those experiences have prepared me for the work I'm doing in the world today. And I feel like I have the best job in the world. And the fact that I'm doing the work I do and get paid for it, I feel like it's a no-brainer.
Well, and it's so interesting because I feel like you've honored yourself so amazingly well. And it also gives women who are listening who may have had similar upbringing or similar circumstances, who may be stuck in that, oh my gosh, this happened to me. My life is horrible. And I don't ever want to minimize what people have gone through. I mean, trauma is serious, and you've taken your power back. And that allows so many women to say, oh, if Joy did it, I can do it. Look what Joy went through. I did too. Look where she is now. So thank you for being willing to share some of your story and how you've, all the things that you've been through and what you are doing now, because I think it gives a lot of women hope.
Absolutely. And it took me a while. Even after I left my home country, I was so bitter. I remember I used to fantasize taking a knife and going to stab the guy who, like the man who abused me, because I felt like there had to be justice, right? And so the bitterness was there for a long time and it took work, right?
Mhm.
I found the life coach school. That's where I certified from. And the work I did in the life coach school helped me to realize that I have power and I can take my power back. If you had asked me like 4 years ago, I couldn't tell you the story without breaking down in tears. So the fact that I am now able to tell my story, encourage other people, and not break down, I think that's a miracle in and of
Yeah.
itself. And
Yeah.
so, like you said, not to minimize what people might have experienced as children, but to know that there is light ahead at the end of the tunnel and see your path to that light. Because life shouldn't be lived in despair, in sadness. Uh, I feel like life is too short. So for anyone going through that sadness and that pain, I want you to decide today that you're going to find a path out, no matter how long it takes you, so that you come out the other side and you can smile again.
Mhm. Oh, it's so beautiful. Well, and there's such divine timing for this conversation because literally this morning, my daughter looked at me, she's 10, and she said, Mommy, I don't want to go to school because some of her friends left this year. She has a kiddo in her class who's giving her a hard time. And she said, Mommy, I just don't want to go to school. And she's like begging me to not make her go. And what I told her is, I said, honey, we all have hard things that we have to go through. And I don't want you to ever think that I don't care or that it doesn't matter. But you get to make a decision today that you're going to have a good day at school, that you're going to find something that's fun. And just like you just said, we all have the power to make a decision about what defines us and how we're going to move forward. So, when you think back on the work that you've done with your clients, the work that you've done in yourself, was there like a first kind of small, brave decision or brave step forward that really kind of changed the trajectory of that bitter place to where you are now, helping other women?
Yes, and thank you for that story you just told about your daughter. And kudos to you because you've done the work. That's why you're able to teach your daughter. I have a 6-year-old too, and she had a hard time, just like your daughter, with a couple of people in her class. And I'm now seeing myself using the tools I have learned to tell her, even though she's 6, you have the power to choose how you react. So I just wanted to honor you for that. So to your question, yes, I think the first step is kind of bringing the trauma out into the light because for many women I work with, and that's the same for me as well. I was living in shame. I was living in darkness, like all of the things that happened to me. I'll give you an example. Apart from the men that abused me, one of them was my uncle, my mother's younger brother, right? And it didn't just happen one time, it was multiple times. And so it was so dark, the kind of thing you don't talk about in public. And so I think the first step is to almost like take a flashlight and like put on the flashlight on darkness. When you're able to bring the thing out into the open, I think it loses its power at that point where you're no longer ashamed. You don't take responsibility for whatever happened to you because sometimes we blame ourselves and we say, "Oh, maybe I should have done this. Maybe I brought this on myself," right? So I think the first step is shining the light, allowing light to come and not be ashamed anymore, not hide anymore. I think that's the first step in becoming free. And because of the work I do now with women, when women take that step and they can see that there is light at the end of the tunnel, like it just changes how they show up in the world. Like they're happier. It's almost like your weight has been lifted off their shoulders. And so that will be my recommendation for the first step for any woman who wants to deal with their childhood trauma. And remember that many of us have been hiding this for so long. So we don't want to kind of ruffle the nest, right? So it's going to take a lot of work and courage to go there first because I believe that trauma sits in our bodies if we don't deal with it. And the reason why I was so intentional about dealing with my own trauma is because I didn't want to pass it on to my daughter. I wanted her to grow up in a healthy way. And can you imagine that because of what I went through, I am so overprotective of my daughter? Like, if she was to go for a play date with her friends, my brain goes to, oh my God, what if her friend's dad wants to abuse her? And that's a very dark place for my mind to go to, right? Because I want her to have the experiences in life that a child should have, like a
Right.
happy childhood. So um I found that I was projecting my trauma on her because I'm like, oh my gosh, okay, who's with her right now? I'm calling almost every hour. Where is she? Who is she talking to? So it's absolutely worth it doing the work so we can let go of that trauma and we can take our lives back.
Mhm. Well, and you are such a powerful force to be reckoned with when it comes to a role model for your daughter. She's going to have, I mean, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see kind of the woman she becomes because of your role model. Um, but I think something that you said is incredibly important, opening up and talking about what you've gone through. I was at a conference over the summer and this topic of abuse was brought up. And it wasn't the main focus of the talk, but it was just kind of that question of who can relate to this situation. And two-thirds of the people, both men and women in this room, raised their hands. So you think about how isolating this can feel and how alone. And I have so much respect for you. I have not personally been through that, but I have friends and family who have. And as soon as you talk about it, there's another person who says, "Oh, hey, me too. Oh, hey, me too." And then it's not so hard. It's not so alienating. It's not so isolating. And you talk a lot in your work about that feeling of community and the need for community and high achieving women. Have you found with your clients, and you also have a membership community, that bringing high achieving women into the room together to hold space helps them be unstuck? Can you speak to that a little bit?
Oh my gosh, thank you so much for that question. So before I launched my membership, I used to do one-on-one coaching, high ticket coaching, and then I moved on to groups. And now I have a membership. Like the beauty about membership is the community, the sisterhood. Like it's such a beautiful thing when you are in a space of women who have the same ambition and
Mhm.
the same challenges, right?
Mhm.
Because when it comes to showing up boldly, women especially, we struggle with being consistent, right?
Mhm.
And so being in a community of women who have the same goals, I feel like it was the missing piece for many of my clients. Like
Mhm.
there are days when, for example, even me, I feel low some days. I don't want to get out of bed. But
Mhm.
because I have these women to pull me up, they encourage me and they inspire me on days where I doubt myself. I still have self-doubt myself.
Mhm.
But being in a community of women, they pull me up on days I don't feel 100%. And I think that's the beauty of community. We also collaborate. We It's so beautiful when women don't have that compete, like think about competition and we think collaboration. And that's how I think my business success has happened because a number of women have recommended me for speaking engagements or even sending clients my way. And so I believe in the power of community, especially in the day of AI. It feels like the world is becoming smaller and smaller. But when you tap into the power of human connection, when
Mhm.
we tell our stories and we're like, oh, like the other day I was in a networking event and this lady, the first time we were meeting, and she's from Iran, she's in the US, and she talked about she left Iran to come to the US speaking no English, and she told her story, and that was a similar story to mine. And then I told her, we are just meeting for the first time, but our stories are so similar, and we formed that bond, and now we are looking to collaborate in business together. So I believe that being in a community of women, because you cannot do it by yourself, whether you're trying to run a business or grow a career or be a better mom or be a better wife, when you have a sisterhood of women, you go much faster, further. And so I love being in a community of women.
Well, and I think so many women, me in particular, had, female wounding. We all have stories of competitive women in our past or younger versions of ourselves, mean girls, all those things. So I do think that there's a fear of collaboration and connection of like, oh, I don't know, this is scary. And yet, when you find the right room, it is the game changer. So I hope what our audience also hears from you is to not give up. You might not be in the right room right now. You might not have that community right now, but like, I personally have a community, you have a community. We all can collaborate together and keep trying. Keep
Mm.
that brave step forward.
Absolutely. And I love that you have a community because I also enjoy your work. I've been following you since I found you on the collaboration tool we use together. And I just love the amazing community you've created, a place where women can feel safe, because there are some things we can talk to our spouses about. There are some things we can't talk to even our best friends because we are afraid of being judged, right?
Right.
But when we have a safe community like the community you've created, a safe place for women to be vulnerable, a safe place for women to be ambitious. Because sometimes in the world, if you're too ambitious, you're like, oh, people will be like, oh, what's she talking about? Why does she want to make $1 million? Right.
Right.
But if you
Yes.
create a space where women can be ambitious and feel safe being ambitious, I think that's like gold. And I created my community because I was looking for that community. Like I've been in masterminds, I've been in high ticket programs that would just run for like 6 months, right? But I was looking for somewhere I can grow. And so I decided to create what I was looking for. And I'm just so excited for like the community you've created and how we all of us can lift each other up to the next level.
Well, and I think the other thing is finding a room, like you said, I want to make $1 million. I'm sure one of your clients have said that. And so many people are like, oh, why would you want to do that? Whereas you find your community, you find the community that I'm in, and we're like, heck yes, let's go. What do you need? And those are the people that you need in your life to hold these big,
Mm.
scary dreams rather than a lot of people in my life, especially, I love my parents dearly, but they're like, oh, hold on, wait a second. Like, you're gonna leave full-time PT, you're gonna like step away from the 401(k. And I'm like, yes, I am. Run the other direction. But what I hear from you too is helping your clients trust their inner knowing, trust their desire for these big leaps,
Mm.
and then holding space for them in your community. I love that so much.
That's so beautiful, Dr. Curry. And I love how you said desire. I feel like our desires are the roadmap to where we want to be. There is a reason why your job, even though your job was multiple six figures, for example, there was a reason why you had that desire for entrepreneurship. Like I always give the example of there are people who are happy right now flipping burgers at McDonald's. Their lives are perfect for them.
Yeah,
But there are
absolutely.
other people who want more, right?
Mhm.
And the reason you have that desire for more is because it is possible. If it
Yeah.
wasn't possible, that desire wouldn't be there.
Oh
And
my God.
so I love, like, it's just so beautiful when women can desire something, aspire towards something, and actually achieve the thing, like it's just the best thing in the world.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Well, and before we started recording, I was really excited to talk about like kind of that pivot at 40. So many of us have been in a career, went to school, we've stayed in that lane, and it's like, oh, but this is comfortable. This isn't
Mm.
scary, and it's incredibly scary or can be to pivot the other direction. So, how do you encourage your clients to make that pivot?
Mm. Yes, that's one thing many people struggle with, especially when you have the security of a job, right? And I do not encourage anyone to just leave their jobs without a plan. You have to have a plan first. And many times it could be that you run your entrepreneurship dream alongside your 9 to 5 job. And so that pivot for me is following my dreams. And way more than dollars and cents, for me, it's about fulfillment. Do I feel happy? Do I feel like I am contributing in a way that fulfills me?
Mhm.
That's way more than dollars and cents for me. I say that because my ex is now my ex-husband. He struggled so much because of his job. And just the commute to work was like so depressing. And he became clinically depressed and had to go on antidepressants just because of that commute to work. Every single day, when he would wake up, he would just tell me, "Oh my gosh, I wish I didn't have to go to work." And so I like that's a miserable way to live one's life, especially
Mhm.
how much, how many years do we have on it? Maximum 110 or 120, and then we die, right? So I don't think any amount of money is worth that feeling of fulfillment, that feeling of satisfaction, of joy, of peace in life. And
Mhm.
so I always encourage the women in my world, have a plan and then you work towards your plan. And ultimately, their goal is to be full-time entrepreneurs. And it's just the most amazing thing when someone gets to the point where they can finally let go of their 9 to 5 and pursue their entrepreneurship dream.
Well, and I think even when I turned 40, I remember looking at my husband going, oh my gosh, 4 decades of my life have passed. And it was this huge, eye-opening, like arguably, 0 to 20, you're in school and you have to fulfill those things. For me, it was to 25. But then after that, I got married and I think so many of
Mhm.
us, check the next few boxes and stay in that lane. And then all of a sudden we kind of wake up one day and our kids are a little bit more independent. They don't need us quite so much. And it's like you finally come up for air and go, wait a minute, hold on. Where did my life go? So, how do you help women come back to themselves and really refocus on maybe the years that at first might feel like, oh my gosh, I've lost so much time, to pivot to look what I can do with my time now?
Yes, that's so incredible because that's the experience many people come to me with, especially even me too. When I turned 40, I'm like, 40 years, that's a long time. What have I achieved? And now I understand why many people call it midlife crisis because you really, really, at that point, look at your life and start to evaluate everything you've achieved. And so, how I like to approach this is I ask the women in my community, how is it true that your life turned out exactly as how it was supposed to be? What
Mhm.
if we took that line of thought and say, can it be true that everything I have gone through in life or where I am at now is exactly where I'm supposed to be? The reason I do that work with my clients is because coming to terms and accepting is like the baseline. Because when we keep comparing and keep thinking, oh, what if I had married Mr. Johnny instead of Mr. David? Oh, what if I had done this or that? We deprive ourselves of progress. So,
Mhm.
first thing I love to do is exactly where you are now is exactly where you were supposed to be. Now, from
Yeah.
now on, what are your goals? You can achieve whatever goals you set for yourself. And I believe that's how women can take their power back and approach the next 40 years with more joy, excitement, hope, because those feelings actually create success. Feelings of joy, excitement, hope attract success, and feelings of doubt, regret actually attract sadness. And so that's the first thing I do with my clients. And for most of them, they finally achieve their goals.
I love that. And I love that you mentioned joy. One of my mentors recently said something that was incredibly powerful. And she said, I look at my calendar every day and really did a calendar audit. And if it doesn't bring joy to my life, I don't do it anymore. And it was so powerful for me. And I know that there's some listeners we have here like, oh my gosh, I can't get rid of, the first response is resistance, like, I can't get rid of all the things. But something that we talk about, and I'm sure you do as well, is what is one thing that you can do right now? What's one thing that either adds joy that you can add to your calendar, or what is one thing that doesn't bring you joy that you can get rid of or delegate or maybe not do at all anymore? And I think breaking it down in those small steps really helps people because if you're really literal like me, it's like, I can't do that all at once. And it's immediately this like, wow, it feels scary. But giving women permission to do a
Mhm.
little bit at the time.
Yes, yes, and being content with a little bit at a time because as humans, we tend to compare ourselves and we judge ourselves and we say, "Oh, I should have done better," right? But just accepting and taking one step at a time and celebrating yourself as you go, right?
Mhm.
So, for example, if you give yourself a task to, let's say, write an email to your email list and you did that today, celebrate yourself instead
Mhm.
of saying, oh, then I should have posted on Instagram, I should have recorded a podcast. So, taking it one step at a time, you begin to shift your identity to becoming the woman who keeps her word, trusts herself, and get the woman that gets shit done. You
Yes,
become that
yes.
woman.
Oh my gosh. Well, I'm so glad that you mentioned identity. When you think of the identity shifts that you've had in the last 5 years, 10 years, is there one that you feel like has been the most important piece of embodiment that has moved you forward?
Yes, absolutely. And I love that you said identity shift because I call it an identity crisis.
Mhm.
You have to go through an identity crisis to become the woman you want to be. So, the one that comes to mind right now is thinking that I deserve to be successful, that I am worthy of success. So,
Yes,
looking at my
worthy.
yeah, looking at my background, what I've been through, leaving my home country without speaking English, being in a foreign country, different skin, different accent, I didn't feel like I deserved success. And
Mhm.
so I had to do the mindset work to say, how is it true that I deserve success? I am worthy of success. And
Yes.
so that was the biggest mindset shift of going from extreme poverty to becoming the woman who can attract wealth and hold wealth. They're two different human beings. Like if I look at the woman that left her home country at the age of 25, we are completely different human beings. In my head, I had to do a complete identity shift to become the woman who I am today. And so I believe that's the first thing people need to do because until we become, we do not have, right? We become first, then we do, and then we have. So
And the
you,
mindset shift happens before
yeah,
the opportunities come, before the wealth comes in. And that's the piece that I think a
absolutely.
lot of us were missing for a long time. But I love that you said identity crisis because in some women and portions of my background too, it's also a grieving process. Like you can literally wake up and go, who the hell am I? And be kind of
Mm.
like out of your body and feel out of control and just like, well, that's not who I am anymore, but that's what everything around me shows still. What do I do now? And also giving yourself the permission to be like, dang, it took me a while to get here. Okay, all of that doesn't serve me anymore. And that, let's be honest, that could be people, that could be environments, that could be workplaces, that could be so many things that you recognize, okay, the woman I'm becoming, that, these things don't serve me anymore. And that can be sad. It can be
Yeah.
really uncomfortable. But it's that taking that brave step of, but what do I desire? Who do I want to be? I'm not allowing myself to stay stuck anymore.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you were just talking, I just remembered a vivid example of my own identity shift. So before now, I used to be a very angry person, right? I
Mhm.
used to talk, I say my mind, right? And then just this Saturday, I was supposed to go to Ottawa for my friend's birthday. And so I had told my daughter's dad about 2 months ago about the date. I'm saying, I'm gonna go to Ottawa for the whole weekend. You need to plan to be with Ivy. Our daughter's name is Ivy. And he penned it in his calendar and all that, only for him to take a trip abroad. And he booked his flight in a way that he doesn't arrive before the time I'm supposed to leave. And so I messaged him on the Thursday. I'm like, when is your flight back? Because I'm going to Ottawa on the Saturday. And he goes, oh, my flight doesn't come back until Saturday night. And I'm like, 2 months ago, I told you about my trip. And like my reaction was so mellow. I didn't shout, I didn't fight. And after the episode, I asked myself, who am I? Right? Because before now, oh my God, I would scream down the phone, I would shout and, just raise my voice. And I realized that I have become a different human being. And I just told myself, wow, I am very proud of the woman I have become. And he
Yes.
came back on Sunday and there was no quarrel, there was no fight. He was even surprised. Like I didn't fight, nothing. I just made other plans. And it was just amazing to see how I've evolved.
Well, and I used to be that person too. I used to be incredibly reactive. Well, they such and such, and I found myself talking to my daughter because she came home, I don't know, a few weeks ago, and so and so did this, and that made me do that, and I was like, hold on, hold on. Yes, that person may have done X, Y, and Z that was inconsiderate. Like that is true. I believe you. And you are in control of your reactions, your thoughts, all of the things. Not that it wasn't aggravating, so let's be clear. And where can you take your power back again? And she just like rolls her eyes at me. She's so tired of hearing it. But it's like, no, this takes practice because I can still be reactive and then have to be like, oh, rein it back in. Hold on, hold on. Where can I have my power again? So I hope that our listeners hear from you today in every opportunity, in every space, you have power and you have power
Mm.
over what you allow in your life, what you allow to control your life. And I'm just so glad to be having this conversation. I want to be respectful of your time today, though. So, if there's anything that we haven't spoken about or anything that you really want to speak to, I'd love to just kind of open the floor for you for that now. We talked a little bit about your membership and whatnot, but if there's anything that you were really like, I really want to talk about this, or a message
Yeah.
for our listeners.
Yeah, yeah. One message I want to leave is about self-doubt. Many of us wait until we are overconfident before we take the action.
Hmm.
And one thing I found very surprising, Dr. Curry, is that over successful women still have self-doubt. I
Hmm.
was in a conference, a Beyond Patient Care conference, and her name was Dr. Janenga. She's the founder of an app called WebPT. You might know her
Yes. Oh,
because
yeah. I don't know her, but I know WebPT.
yeah, yeah. So she's the founder of WebPT. And when she was speaking on stage, she mentioned that she still have self-doubt. This is a woman that makes multiple seven figures per year. And when she said that, I'm like, wow, how
Mhm.
can a woman who's bringing in multi-million dollars per year still have self-doubt? She says she wakes up in the morning sometimes and she doubts herself. So I want to encourage listeners that do not wait until you're 100% confident. The confidence comes from taking the action. So I want you to realize that all human beings experience self-doubt. You are not a unicorn. Okay.
Yes.
So embrace the self-doubt. And like my coach, Brooke Castillo, would say, don't always try to solve for the self-doubt. Bring the self-doubt along with the action you're taking. And before you know, that self-doubt begins to dissipate. So I just want to encourage people, you have what it takes to pursue your dreams, whatever those dreams are. And like Dr. Curry said earlier, the desire you have is valid, because the reason you have that desire is because your dreams, your goals are possible for you. So I hope you're encouraged to show up, take action, and just take what belongs to you.
I love that so much. Joy, thank you for bringing such depth, honesty, and power to this conversation. Your story is a reminder that reinvention isn't a crisis, although we might have identity crises. It's an invitation. And the moment we say yes to ourselves, everything begins to rise with us. Can you tell everyone how they can get in touch with you, how they can follow you to make sure that we can get you guys connected?
Yeah, so you can follow me on Instagram is Joy Rowland _ and I'll be just so happy to connect with people. I am a people person, so just send me a DM and we'll connect.
I love that. Joy, thank you again. And to everyone listening today, remember, like Joy said, your next level is waiting. It's just waiting for you to decide.
As we close out today's episode, I want to leave you with this. Your next level is already within you. If you're feeling that pull for more clarity, more alignment, and more courage to step fully into who you're meant to be, this is your invitation to take the next step. Whether you're an entrepreneur ready to scale or a woman standing at the edge of something bigger, the path forward starts with trusting your desires, owning your worth, and leading with your inner knowing. This is exactly what I offer. Private VIP coaching, and where I guide women inside the 10K Club and 50K Club through consulting with She Sells and Superhuman Selling to help you gain clarity, step into aligned action, and build a life and business that reflects your highest vision. If you're ready to explore what's next, let's have a conversation. Book a free call now at www.corywinn.com/free call. I can't wait to connect with you. Talk soon.